I cannot have peace right now unless I can trust what's coming then. I cannot have peace in any way, shape, or form unless I can trust that I am right with God. And this is so important. This is like the basic truth of life. There is no peace unless you have peace with God. There is no peace unless you have peace with God. And you know what? That is what baby Jesus brings us. Now listen closely, because this is important. If you're someone who's doing okay, if you're someone who feels that, I can take care of myself, I can protect myself, I can provide what I need. If you're someone who never worries about anything, if you're someone who's got everything figured out and you got no problems, if you're someone who says, I'm not real worried about the future, I don't care what happens in the next life, I'm just going to live this life the best I can. If that's where you're at, then Jesus isn't for you. Jesus is for those of us who say, I need peace, and I can't do it myself. That's who Jesus is for. Jesus is for those of us who say, man, I'm not great in this world. I don't do a good job of things. And I am scared to death of what lies beyond this life. I am scared to death of what my relationship with God might or might not be. And I have no peace because I don't know what God thinks of me. If that's you, then Jesus is for you. Because that's who I am. And that's why Jesus is for me. See, baby Jesus came and he was born, Emmanuel, God is with us. And he lived his life and he went as prophesied to Galilee. And he shone a great light there. But he did so much more than that. See, Jesus died to make peace with God for us. I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm a bad person. I've done a lot of bad things. And every time I do something wrong, that's one more check mark that God has against me. Because every time I do something wrong, that's one more thing that I've done to harm his world and his creation. And so if I think that God might be angry with the way I've lived my life, I'm right. And if I think that the wrong things that I've done get in the way of me having peace with God, I'm right. And if I spend time at night lying awake wondering what lies on the other side of death and being horrifically afraid of what might be there, I ought to. Because God is angry with my sin. And I am not right with God. And my sin and the wrong things that I do get in the way of my relationship with God. And I cannot have peace with God if I am always doing wrong things. That's why baby Jesus, who grew up into servant Jesus, King Jesus, Jesus, the 33-year-old man who went for 33 years without ever doing anything wrong, that's why Jesus stepped in for me. And I'm going to make this really personal because what Jesus did is he said, David, step aside. You don't have peace with God. Let me bring it. And Jesus allowed himself to be killed. And when Jesus was dying on the cross, God turned his back on Jesus. Because God placed all of his wrath on him. All of God's anger towards me directed at Jesus. All of God's punishment for me directed towards Jesus. everything that I have done to deserve to be at war with God, forgiven, washed away, forgotten because of Jesus. So how do I have peace? I don't have to do anything. Jesus has made peace for me. He's made peace with God for me. Let me tell you something. I'm not always living at peace. I'm going to sit down here for a minute. All that stuff, that's thus saith the Lord. Now you get thus saith Dave. Sometimes it's hard to talk about peace, especially when you know that you don't always live at peace. And you know what? I'm just like you. I've got days when I don't feel a lot of peace in my life. And you know why? It's the same reason that kingdoms can't have peace. Because I am completely worried about taking care of myself. And I don't always get what I want. I should have learned that growing up because I was a middle child. And honestly was the least favorite. I wish you wouldn't laugh when I open up like this. I don't always get what I want. And you know what? That's a peace stealer. When we see things that we want, think about things that we want, whether it be relationally, physically, materially, financially, when we don't get what we want, it takes our peace. Because we want to provide for ourselves. And just like every kingdom, we want to protect ourselves. And so when people do or say things that might harm us, we want to protect ourselves. When we find ourselves in situations where maybe we feel fear, we want to protect ourselves. And when we're constantly worrying about protecting ourselves and providing for ourselves, we have no peace. And I'm having to force myself to realize this. Hey, David, there is nothing that you can do to provide for yourself that Jesus hasn't already done. David, there is nothing you can do to protect yourself that Jesus hasn't already done. Here's the thing. What am I trying to protect myself from? Having my feelings hurt? Okay, so maybe I get my feelings hurt. That's letting time trump truth. That's me being like Liam, don't give me the shot. And so I try to protect myself. I don't need to protect myself. Jesus has given me everything I need. You know, when I find myself in those situations where I'm afraid and I'm fearful, and maybe I want to protect myself, I want to protect my reputation, I want to protect my status, I want to protect my position, guess what? I don't need to. Did Jesus protect himself? You know what? Jesus was given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to protect himself, and over and over and over again, he chose not to. And you know what? As Jesus was being tortured, and as Jesus was being executed, Jesus had perfect peace because he was relying on God. I might not see the kingdom come in my lifetime. I'd like to. I might not. It doesn't mean I can't have peace right now, today. But I got to learn something. I've got to learn that it's not up to me to bring peace. I need to trust in Jesus. Paul wrote in Romans 15, he said, I want you to have peace because you trust in Jesus. And then he said, and that trust will bring you hope overflowing through the Holy Spirit. And man, that's what I need to do. I need to sit back. I need to put my trust in Jesus instead of myself and allow him to bring the peace to my life. So this year as I celebrate Christmas, as I think about baby Jesus lying in that manger, what do I have to remind myself of? Hey, David, stop trying to take care of everything yourself. Stop trying to provide everything for yourself. Stop trying to protect yourself all the time. Allow God, through Jesus, to bring peace into your life.